Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you that have already been here, I'm sure you guys already know all of the deets, but in case you guys are new here, my name is Camaro and I really like to do a mix of DIYs and crafts using mostly Dollar Tree items. I do like to squeeze in other items from Dollar General, the 99-cent only store, Target Dollar Spot, Hobby Lobby, Michaels, etc. And I also like to do thrift flips here and there as well. So if that's something that you're interested in, I hope you will consider sticking around. Hit that subscribe button. I would love to have you be a part of the Dying to DIY fam. Anyways, I am really excited for this video because it is a mini hop in collaboration with a few other awesome DIYers such as myself. This includes Yelena from Blondie Next Door, Corey from Crafted by Corey, Lisa from Lisa and Company, and Olia from Olia DIY Adventures. This hop is hosted by Yelena from Blondie Next Door, so I am so thankful and grateful that she asked me to be a part of this with them, and I cannot wait to see what everybody created. And like I mentioned before, this is a mini hop, so each of us will have another person's video linked down below in our description box. You won't know who it is until you click on that and head over to their video. Once you make it back around to my video, you will know that you have made a complete circle and that you've watched all of our videos. So the theme that we chose to do for this collab was to take 10 Dollar Tree items and make as many projects as we could using those 10 items. Here you can see the items that I chose to do for my projects. Some of them I had a general idea of what I was going to make, and the others not so much. So I just really challenged myself and tried to make as many as I could. And I ended up making 9 projects. Yes, 9, which I'm super excited to share with you guys. So let's get right to it. For my first project, I'm going to be using this clear standing photo frame, and I'm going to start by cutting this buffalo check scrapbook paper that is from Michaels. I'm just going to be cutting it to fit, perfectly into the slot of the photo frame. This scrapbook paper is what I'm going to be doing the rest of my work on as well. I just wanted to make sure that it fit in the frame first before I did anything else to it. Next, I'm going to take these stickers from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to start by removing the sunflower parts off of there, and I'm just going to trim them because I don't want the whole stem. I just really want the flowers. So I just kind of played around with placements on there. I didn't know if I wanted to do it like in the middle or off to the side or whatnot. So I just played around with it until I was kind of happy. I did end up using all 3 of the stickers. So again, I just peeled them off and then trimmed them, right at the base of like the flower where it buds. And then I did cut these 2 apart because I wanted to have them in different positions on the scrapbook paper. I decided to put them kind of at the corners. That way there's a little bit of the flower like kind of hanging off. And here in a second you will see that I'm just going to take my scissors and I'm just going to trim, following the line of the scrapbook paper, and just trim the excess flower pieces off. So once I had everything nice and trimmed, I just kind of did like a rough measurement of the blank spaces in between the flowers, and just to get an idea of how big I wanted to make my words on my Cricut machine. So I did print these off on my Cricut machine off camera for you guys. It says "Hello Summer." I thought it would just be a super cute touch to to go with the flowers and like the buffalo check. So I printed that off. I added those words onto the scrapbook paper, but when I did, I only added the black at first, and somehow I lost my footage of adding the white letters on top of it. But I printed out the same words just in white and I added it on top of it. Here you can see how it turns out. So cute. I added the white words on top because when it was just black, everything kind of blended in too much. Like the words weren't popping out enough. So this extra little touch just really brought this piece to the next level, and I absolutely love the way this one turned out. For this project, I'm going to be using this circular family sign, and I'm just going to start by taking a flathead screwdriver and prying off the metal word that says family. That is the part that I will be using for this DIY project. So once I pried it off, there was just still a little bit of paper connected to that, so I just peeled off as much as I could, and then I used my razor blade to get into the circles of the insides of the letters. Next, I decided to use a couple parts of this Valentine's sign. I just started by removing the string from the back of one of the boards, just the bottom board, and then I used my flathead screwdriver to pry off the metal hearts as well. Once each of those hearts were off, I just took a piece of sandpaper just to sand down any roughness, left from the glue from the hearts. After that, I took my white Waverly chalk paint and I just started painting this sign, but I put most of the emphasis on the middle. I still liked how the outside had like that darker look to it, had like a darker ring, so I did put a lot more emphasis on the middle part. So next, no surprise here, I took my brown antique Waverly wax and I'm just going to start by distressing the sides, just basically all around the rim where that brown already was. I just wanted to, kind of emphasize it a little bit more. So yeah, I just did that until I was happy with it. I took my little chippy brush and just kind of went here and there, blended it in, and once I felt I was done kind of adding the brown wax, I just took the white Waverly chalk paint and I just went over that again just to kind of blend those two colors together, just so everything would mesh nicely and it just looked more blended. Once I had that board all painted, I just took the ink color from Waverly, it's like a matte black color, and I just started painting those metal hearts. I only painted 2 of them for this project, and I gave them 2 coats of that paint. I just really wanted it to be nice and solid black. I then did the same exact thing with the family sign as well. Painted all of them with 2 coats of that ink Waverly chalk paint. Once they had time to dry, I took my Mod Podge and I just kind of sealed them, just because the way that the metal is, the paint will chip off really, really easily, so I did not want that to happen. I wanted everything to be like nice and secure and sealed. So that is what I did with the Mod Podge, and after that it was just about trying to figure out how I wanted to place these on the board. Did I want 2 hearts on the side and the family sign in the middle? Did I kind of want the family off to the side and the hearts on the other? And that is what I ultimately decided to do. I decided to place the 2 hearts towards the side, kind of like at an angle from each other, and then I just glued the family sign on to, that white space. And here is how this little sign turned out. So quick and so easy, but I absolutely love it. I think it's so cute with that matte black, and then like how you have the kind of vintage antique looking board in the back. I personally really, really like it, and I hope you guys do too. Alright, on to the third project. I'm going to be using that little board that I just pried the family sign off of. I'm going to start by taking the paper off, peeling it off as much as I possibly can, and then I'm taking a piece of sandpaper just to smooth everything out so I have a nice clean base to start working on. I decided to use these treat bags for this project, so I just took one of the bags and started by cutting off the bottom of the bag, and then I took my scissors and just chose one of the sides to cut along as well. So that way, once I opened it, I had more space to work with rather than the little sliver of the size of the bag. Then I took my Mod Podge and just gave that board a really good coat of the Mod Podge, and then I'm just lining up that treat bag onto the board, smoothing out any ripples or creases and all that, just trying to cover, get it pressed down and adhered to the board as much as possible. I do take my blow dryer to kind of help it dry quicker, just so I can see if I need to add more podge. add more Mod Podge to like the sides or anything that were coming up. Once it had time to dry, I just took a razor blade, flipped it over, and then just started by cutting off the excess treat bag. And here is how that turned out. I did seal it again with Mod Podge on the top. That's why it is kind of shiny. I also added 2 layers because I tried something else and it didn't work. So I had to kind of redo it. I had to add another treat bag on the top and go through the whole process. So I had this little saying printed out from a previous project. I printed it too small and I ended up printing out one that was a little bit bigger. So I used it for this project. I just kind of cut all the words apart and lined everything up to kind of how I liked it, and I thought it was like aesthetically pleasing to my eye. And then I took that leftover galvanized metal heart and I just glued it onto the side of this little plaque. And that was it for this one, you guys. I think it turned out so cute. I really love that like hummingbird treat bag with the blue and like the pink blush flowers. So cute. And then it says live life in full bloom. Just super cute, you know, summer or spring touch. I love it. For this next project, I'm going to be using this little home decor sign. I just started by peeling off the paper. I was definitely going to go in a different route with this one, but once I had started pulling off the paper, I kind of liked the way that it looked. So I ended up removing the knob so that way I could peel the paper a little bit more easily. But like I said, once I had peeled the paper, I kind of liked the way that it looked and how it had this like torn, worn look. So I just decided to go with it. I just decided to work with it. So I took my brown antique Waverly wax and I just started I can't, you guys, I'm so sorry. I started distressing the edges of the paper where they had peeled off. I used a like wet cloth to try to blend everything together just to really age this piece and just give it that like worn antique feel. So I just, you know, used my little chippy brush and distressed until I was happy with the way it looked. And here you can see, you know, all those really cool distressed torn sides. Super cool. After that, I'm going to use this little home tabletop decor, and I'm being very careful, well, as careful as I possibly can. I was trying to get everything off in one piece, but as you can see, it does not come off in one piece, so I kind of had to regroup and come up with a different plan. So I took my razor blade and I just cut the little like wreath parts away from the word. I was more interested in the word home rather than those little accents on the sides. And I did use my blow dryer to try to heat it up to see if, you know, the top layer would peel off easier. It did help a little bit, but not much. So I just tried to go as slow as I possibly could just to make sure the home wording came off altogether. Because there is 2 layers to this piece. There's like a wood part on the bottom, and then this top part was like a plastic material, and that's the part I wanted to use for this project. So I just try to be as careful as possible. After that, once I got it off, and I did take some of the accent pieces off as well, and then I just took that ink Waverly paint and I just painted those, and I kind of just left some of the gold parts showing through. I thought that was a really like nice added characteristic to this piece. And my last steps were just to add the knob on and then just figure out where I wanted to place each of these pieces, the little accents and then the word. So I decided that I liked home in the middle, but once I, you know, because it still had like some little curly cues on the side, I ended up cutting those off just so it would fit a lot better in the middle. Once I knew where I wanted to place these, I just took my Mod Podge, added a good layer to the back of each of the pieces, and just Mod Podge them into place. This is how that one turned out. I think it is so stinking cute. I really love the like worn, aged look to it, and I really like that ripped paper effect. It's yes, I don't know what else to say, but I love it. I love it. Anyways, moving right along, I decided to just keep going on with this piece that I was working on previously. I just decided to give this piece like a quick makeover. So I just took that matte black paint again and I focused on the outer edges of that tabletop decor, you know, around the home and then around the accent pieces and then also along the rim. Well, once I had it painted, I just took some sandpaper and started sanding off as much as I could from the top where it said home and then again those little like wreath pieces. This is what it looked like, you know, at that stage, which I thought was really cool, but you know what, I was not popping enough for me, so I just took my white Waverly paint and just started painting it here and there and blending it in with my finger, and then I'm taking some more of that brown antique Waverly wax and doing the same thing, and this was how it turned out. So quick and easy, but you know, just such a difference, like such a good makeover. I love it. And I think even just a matte black with like a solid white for the letters would look really pretty as well. Maybe even like a summer color like pink or yellow for that wording would be so cute too. For this next project, I'm going to be using this 3-in-1 board game, and I'm just going to start by making 4 quadrants out of the checkerboard part. So I'm just going to cut it, straight down the middle and make each of those squares as even as I possibly can. So I just took my razor blade and this like straight edge and just made a couple of cuts. Once you cut it just enough, you can just like pry it back and forth and each part just pops right away from each other. You might have some wood that is like still attached, but it's easy to just cut right off. This wood is so thin. So here I have the 4 pieces, and next I just started by, taking my white Waverly chalk paint and painting both sides of those boards. I was only going to do one side, but I'm going to be putting this textured tissue paper. Oh my gosh, it's not tissue paper. Textured scrapbook paper on one of the sides, and I kind of put it over it before I painted it to see if the black and like the natural wood was popping through, and it was, so that is why I painted both sides. So once each part was painted, I just took my Mod Podge, gave each of the squares a good coat of the Mod Podge, and then I just added that scrapbook paper on top, made sure it had time to dry, and then I'm just turning it over and using my razor blade just to cut away the excess scrapbook paper. I really love the look of this textured paper. I'm definitely going to have to get some more sheets of it because I think it is so, so pretty. After that, I'm going to take this little decor sign and I'm just going to start by flipping over the back of it. This is not really necessary. I don't know what I was thinking in the beginning. I thought you would maybe see, the wording on the front, but you really don't once we're all finished with it. So you don't need to flip this piece over if you're going to be making this. Then I just started by removing the little wooden bead hanger because I'm going to use those beads for something else. And then I just take some hot glue and I'm gluing each of those boards on the inside of this frame. It's kind of turning into like a planter or like a vase type of thing. Surprisingly, these wood pieces fit so nicely in here, and this was definitely not on my list of things that I was going to do, so it worked out so, so good. Next, I'm just going to take 4 of those wooden beads from that hanger and I'm just going to glue those onto the bottom of this little planter box so it gives it kind of like a lifted or like a rising effect. They're just little risers, little legs, and I thought that was a cute added little, characteristic to this piece. Then my last step was to just pick out some flowers and add them to the planter, and here is how it turned out. I am in love, you guys. I think this one is so stunning, so beautiful. It's definitely my favorite piece I think that I have created for this video. I just absolutely love the way that it turned out. It surpassed all of my expectations. Like I said, I really did not know what I was going to do with these items, so when everything came together the way that I did, I was like, yes, oh my goodness, I love it. So I definitely can't wait to hear what you guys think of this piece. Alright guys, we're coming into the home stretch. I have 3 more little quick and easy projects for you guys. So I'm just going to be using the leftover board from that Valentine's sign, and again, another treat bag. I did the same process. I cut off the bottom and then I just cut it down one of the sides. Again, taking my Mod Podge and giving it a good coat onto that board, and then lining up the treat bag where I saw fit. I just did it right in the middle. Same process, let it dry. Once it was dry, took my razor blade and just cut off the excess material. So once that part was all said and done, I took the windmill little sign. I took my tin cutters and just cut off the welcome sign at the bottom. And my original idea was to use this part as like a stencil. So I was just kind of, playing around with placement. Do I want it on the side? Do I want it in the middle? I had plans to kind of make this board a little bit smaller, so I did place it more towards the left of the board. And like I said, original plan, I was going to do it as a stencil. I tried to go as slow as possible and make sure every part was dry before I moved on to the next, and it still did not work out as planned. So I kind of tried a few things, to save it before I kind of gave up, and those still didn't work. I tried to distress it with some sandpaper. I used white paint to kind of outline the letters to kind of clean them up a little bit. Still, I just was not liking it at all. So I ended up painting the welcome sign with that ink colored black paint, and then I just added my white Waverly to the words that I already stenciled on there just to cover it completely. And then I am taking hot glue and just gluing that welcome sign onto the board. Do want to mention also I did cut it in the process. I cut it down so that way the welcome sign is right in the middle rather than off-centered. Next, I'm using this peel and stick pre-cut vinyl that is from the Target Dollar Spot, and I'm only using the wreath accents. I decided to paint them black using that ink Waverly chalk paint. The original pink color was just blending in too much between the colors of the treat bag. It just really wasn't popping. You couldn't kind of see it. It was just like disappearing basically. So that's why I painted them black, and I'm just playing around with the placement, deciding where I wanted them to go. So my last little step for this piece was to just add that remaining hanger that was on the previous sign. So I just made a couple of marks and then used my drill to drill a couple of holes in there, and then just pushed that little hanger, those little end pieces, right through. And here is how it turned out. So cute. I think it's, great by a front door or even on your front door. Just a cute little welcome sign. I'm just glad that I was able to salvage this piece and kind of save it, because I was a little worried there for a second. On to the next project. I'm going to be using the leftover windmill piece, and I'm going to be using these leftover scrap pieces that I have from a Dollar Tree canvas. And I just started by staining them with a dark walnut stain, and then I'm just kind of rearranging them, how I like the stain on each of the sides. I'm starting with the back first, and I'm just stapling all of those pieces into place just to make sure everything is nice and sturdy. I then flipped it over to staple the corners on the front as well, just to really emphasize the sturdiness of the frame. After that, I'm just removing the little hanger piece on the windmill, and then I'm just kind of lining it up in the frame on how I liked it. I stapled the legs of the piece to the back of the frame, and then I made sure the little fan pieces were popping through the front, and I just used some hot glue to secure those into place. And then I'm taking my white Waverly chalk paint, and I'm just distressing the little fan blades. I thought that was just a nice added extra touch. It's not necessary because the windmill is super cute by itself, but I really wanted to add it. And that was it for this one, you guys. So quick and so easy, but so cute. I love the way that it turned out. All right. Whew, we made it to the last project. I'm going to be using the leftover scrap piece of that board that I used for the welcome sign. It's just like a cute little square piece. It already has the treat bag on it. And then I'm taking the little game pieces from that 3-in-1 board game, and I'm just painting them with my white Waverly chalk paint. I'm taking a black permanent marker, and I'm just writing home, letters that spell home, one letter on each of the little game pieces, taking my Waverly wax and just distressing and aging those. And then I'm distressing and aging the little square piece as well. And I also decided to kind of make these to look like Scrabble letters. So I googled the values of each of the letters for Scrabble, and once I figured those out, I just added those on there. I glued the little pieces into place, and then my last little step, I'm using the leftover hanger piece that was from the windmill, and I'm just shortening it a little bit because it was just too long. I just wanted to make it a little bit shorter. I'm just using my multi-purpose tool to kind of pry open the end there, and then I'm taking my drill just to make a hole, and then I'm prying the little metal piece through that hole and clamping it down, and that was it. So quick, so simple, so easy, but I really love this one too. I really like the Scrabble looking letters on this one, and you can definitely use rub-on transfers from Dollar Tree or Cricut vinyl. I just was trying to make it a little bit more, simple for you guys, so I just used a permanent marker instead. Anyways, this is all that I had left from those original 10 items. I think I did pretty good, so you guys will have to let me know what you think. Also, we have made it to the final walkthrough of the video where I just show you again all of the projects that I made in this little video. If you guys are still here, you guys are so awesome. I appreciate Whoa. I appreciate you all so much, more than you know, so thank you. Also, don't forget, this is a mini hop, so make sure you make it down to my description box and click that link to the other person's video. It is a mystery, so you will figure out who they are once you make it to their video. Keep going and doing that until you make it back to my video, because once you do, that means you have made the complete, circle, and you've made it all the way around to all of our videos. I definitely can't wait to see what all of the other amazing ladies made for their challenge. I'm eager to see what 10 items they chose. So exciting. This was such a fun challenge though. Like I said, I really challenged myself and I tried to make as many projects as I could using only those 10 items, and I didn't really want to add any extra outside items as well. So I stuck to just paint and the scrapbook paper, and I did use some Cricut vinyl a little bit, but otherwise, yeah, I just really tried to use those items that I had. So definitely can't wait to hear which one is your guys' favorite. Yeah, if you guys have made it this far, leave me a sunflower emoji down below. Also, I hope you guys will be joining me again, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you guys in the next one. Bye!